Good morning. Welcome to our virtual service. My name is James Parker. Thank you for being here with us today. Well, let's get started. My lesson title today is Beyond Knowing Thyself. There is a phrase you are likely to find in every self-help book: know thyself. The phrase has a serious philosophical pedigree. By Socrates' time, what's called the Age of Intelligence, it was chiseled into the forecourt of the Temple of Apollo at Delphi. But even before that, a form of the phrase reaches back to ancient Ethiopia. And since then, wisdom teachers, gurus, saints, and scholars have had something to say about it. Interestingly, before you can know thyself, you need to make good decisions, decisions that are right for you. Thus, the whole know thyself concept is not as simple as it seems. In fact, without truly going deep within and searching yourself out completely, to know thyself could be considered a bad idea. This is because, for many of us, the choices we make do not always reflect who we are at the moment we are living in. Sadly, the new you may not have caught up with the present you. It also happens in spiritual lives. For example, maybe you have decided to walk the spiritual path, yet you take a measured approach that is in alignment with your current mindset. You tell yourself to pray more, meditate more, study more, love your neighbor, and the like. But what you fail to understand is you can never unfold spiritually simply by taking spiritual measures alone. Unfolding spiritually without accepting that you must be changed from the inside out doesn't work. In order to progress spiritually and unfold completely into your inner presence and power, you must rise above simple measures. The goal is not only prayer, meditation, and love, but you must become one with the God within you. Therefore, it's truly not about knowing thyself as it is about becoming thyself. It's about being fluid, in the flow, constantly evolving and changing, moving beyond a mindset of who you believe you are. As a minister, each year I would tend to my flock with the thought I am fully up for the task, that I have learned everything needed. Yet in hindsight, I recognize that becoming the perfect minister was never about knowing myself in the moment, but about becoming my best self through continuous development, growth, and change. In the Bible, Jesus spoke to the people in parables. He did this because the people were stuck in an idea of who they are, not in the realization of who they have and will become. In the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verse 35, he said, I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. Consider the Pharisee Nicodemus, who was so perplexed by Jesus' words that he came to him in the night. Of course, Nicodemus, being an elderly gentleman who had practiced religious law for many decades, couldn't fathom being told he must be born again. What was so frustrating and stressful for him is that he thought he'd already learned everything there is to know. He believed he was fully aware. Many of us are the same way today. We constantly frustrate ourselves by way of our resistance to living in our full potential because we believe our past has already taught us everything we need to know. Friends, it's an illusion. The real you is becoming new each day. Go with the flow. Continue to do the work. Become what Spirit has been calling you to be in every moment of your life. Sure, we all have stable ideas about what kind of people we are, and that's all for the best. We don't have to think too hard when ordering from a menu or picking a television channel. There is, however, a hidden thing we must come to know about ourselves, and an even deeper challenge to our intellect. People change. There are periods in life when we change drastically, in times of romantic love, or financial trouble, or after losing a dear one, or even after having children, or at moments of sickness, stress, or extreme difficulty. Most times we are aware of changes. Understandably, after you've had kids, you probably notice that you've suddenly become someone who's more alert. However, most changes happen gradually and under the radar. The problem is this: if we change while our self-image remains the same, then there will be a gap between who we are and who we think we are. And this leads to stress, conflict, resistance, and confusion. To make things worse, as humans, we are exceptionally good at dismissing even the possibility that we might be changing. Psychologists have given this occurrence a fancy name: the end of history illusion. The term end of history illusion originated in a 2013 journal article by psychologists Jordy Korbach, Daniel Gilbert, and Timothy Wilson, detailing their research on the phenomena. They measured the personalities, values, and preferences of more than 19,000 people who ranged in age from 18 to 68 and asked them to report how much they had changed in the past decade and or to predict how much they would change in the next decade. Young people, middle-aged people, and older people all believed they had changed a lot in the past, but would change relatively little in the future. People, it seems, regard the present as a watershed moment at which they have finally become the person they will be for the rest of their lives. We all think that who we are now is the finished product, that we will be the same in 5, 10, 20 years. But as psychologists have found, this is completely delusional. Our preferences and values will be very different already in the not so distant future. Know thyself? Yeah, right. Tell me, who are you at this very moment? Are you evolving? Are you changing? Who are you becoming? Once upon a time, in a great big forest at the bottom of a very tall tree, there crawled along in the soft, dirty, dark earth a caterpillar who was brown and fat and squishy. His name was Bumpadoo. The odd thing about Bumpadoo was that he didn't know he was a caterpillar. He thought he was a worm. That is why he crawled at the bottom of the very tall tree instead of climbing up into the tree and into the branches. In the earth, he met other creatures who crawled where he liked to crawl. They identified themselves as worms. And since Bumpadoo liked the quietness and stillness of the dirty earth, he began to think that he too was a worm. One dreary rainy day, in the quiet, muddy earth, Bumpadoo suddenly heard something bounce with a little plop. He poked his head out of the ground to see what had happened and came face to face with a big worm that looked just like him, brown, fat, and squishy. "Who are you?" asked Bumpadoo. "Oh my, where am I?" "You are with me," said Bumpadoo, "but I do not know your name. Would you please tell me what it is?" "I am a worm called Bumpadoo." "Oh, my apologies. I briefly forgot my manners," said the stranger. "It's nice to meet you. My name is Fadawaladi. I'm a caterpillar, and I must climb back up into the tree to the place where I live." Bumpadoo laughed. "A caterpillar, you say? But you look like me. You must be a worm, just like me." Fadawaladi turned her gaze to Bumpadoo. She eyed him carefully. "Yes, we do look very much alike. That means you are not a worm. That means you are a caterpillar." Bumpadoo said, "You and I cannot possibly be caterpillars. Caterpillars are glorious creatures that live in the trees instead of the earth, and they build cocoons in the leaves and become gorgeous butterflies. You are just a worm like me. Come follow me, and I will show you where to find some dirt that is really delightful to wiggle through." Fadawaladi replied, "Oh no, my friend. I am indeed a caterpillar." Her attitude astounded Bumpadoo. How arrogant for you to claim to be a caterpillar, he said. You are telling me that you're better than I am, and yet we are alike. Father Walady sighed. You are not a worm, my friend. You are a caterpillar like me. You should be feasting on the banquet of abundant green leaves that are high up in the very tall tree. I am going to start to climb up there now. Why don't you join me? How can you say I am not a worm? Instead, insisted Pompidou, can't you see that I live and crawl and eat in the soft, dirty earth? And you certainly are no better than I. Father Walady stared silently at Pompidou for a minute. Then she turned around and started to head for the tree. It's a very long climb back up to the leaves, she said, but it's a climb I must take. I can't force you to come. I can't make you believe that I am indeed a caterpillar and that you are too. I can tell you that up in the tree, a very long journey from here, there is an abundance of delicious green leaves to feast upon. It's worth all the hardship of getting up there. I invite you to come along, but the choice is yours. Pompidou looked high up into the roof of the forest. Aren't you afraid of falling when the wind returns? He asked. A worm who thinks he can live there and eat there and not fall off is living in an illusion. Father Walady attached her front feet to the base of the tree. The fall is not what we should fear, she said. Staying in the dirt after the fall, now that is what should make us tremble with motivation to do what we have to do to become butterflies we were always created to be. And with one last look at Pompidou, she said, you cannot see the real me, nor can you know the real you, unless you give this tree a good try. André Gide wrote in Autumn Leaves, a caterpillar who seeks to know himself will never become a butterfly. Friends, you might be able to know what you think of yourself in this moment, but what you think of yourself at the moment is very different from who you are and what you actually like. And in a couple days or weeks, all of this might change anyway. If you know thyself to be such and such a kind of person, this limits your freedom considerably. Yes, to truly know thyself, you must first fully engage in the idea that you are in constant flux. You are in the flow, constantly changing and transforming. Your thoughts, beliefs, and actions must not unfold based on who or where you are, but who you are to become at each level or phase of existence. If you believe you are a worm, you will live like a worm. If you believe you are a caterpillar, all you'll ever be is a caterpillar. You must see beyond the appearance of things, beyond the knowing thyself, and recognize that you are a butterfly, meant to fly and explore and live free. Come into yourself today. Know your truth. Live beyond know thyself, and you will glorify in prosperity and love. Are you willing to do this with me today? Well, thank you all, and God bless you.